Hello, and welcome to the Radiant Mission Podcast. We are on a mission to encourage and inspire you as you're navigating through this life and with your relationship with Christ. My name is Rebecca Toomey, and today I am joined by the handsomest co-host there is and ever was, my husband, Michael Toomey.
What a wonderful introduction again. So happy to be back with you, honey.
Yes, and if you are just tuning in, we are in a marriage series, and that is why my husband is here to do this marriage series together. We thought it made sense. And also, we are pre-recording this, so when this episode comes out, it will be a little bit later than when we've recorded. But you guys know Miss Rachel Smith, who is our typical co-host here, she is on maternity. So she's, we tried to save her from having to do too many pre-recorded episodes because this was a lot. This was a 9-series episode long bash on marriage. Not a bash on marriage, but a marriage bash.
Marriage bash, total bash. It's been a slammer.
Yeah.
Was it 6 or 9?
9 episodes
We've
total.
done 9 episodes?
Well, today's episode is part 7, but this is a 9-part series.
Wow, I thought we've only done like 3 or 5 or I'm losing count. We've been doing so many.
You're losing track of time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
time flies when you're having fun.
that's right. That's right. And as a super recorder over here, I guess Mike is now a super recorder too, because he didn't even know that he's recorded now almost 7 episodes on marriage. Good job, babe.
Thanks a lot, honey. You know me, I just go with the flow. It's some of our differences.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're jumping into our topic. So, as a reminder, if it is your first time tuning in, we are in a relationship series. It's focused on growing together. And so far, we've discussed the 5 love languages, the crazy cycle from the book Love and Respect, embracing oneness, learning to love like Christ, extending grace, practicing forgiveness, and learning to communicate and resolve conflict. And today, we are focused on understanding your spouse. And just like it's important to learn how to communicate effectively, actually learning how our spouse ticks is really going to be key. And one of my favorite points in the re-engage class that we've been a part of, that we've been talking about, is that we didn't marry ourselves.
Got
We
that right.
married someone who is different from us. And even with couples that are very similar, there's going to be a lot of things that are also very different between two people. There's some similarities, but then there'll also be those differences. And the curriculum that we've been working in, it really points out at the beginning of our relationship how we a lot of times find those differences to be what's attractive about the other person, right? Like that's what attracts us to each other, is that we are different. It's either attractive or cute or endearing. And then over the years, those differences can drive us crazy or become annoying, or the book says flat out repulsive. So I put that in here. But, what do you think about that? When we got together, I know I loved the fact that you were not like me. I am crazy and I am intense and like a lot. And you are very calm and just like chill. And I loved that about you because we always have made this joke like, you cool me down and I warm you up.
Yep, I'm like your radiator.
Yeah.
Engine needs a radiator to cool it down so it doesn't overheat.
Hmm.
And I love that we're different. It's interesting to think back to early in our relationship because I felt like we had a lot of similarities actually. I think that we found a lot of commonality in the things that we liked and enjoyed, and I feel like that was very endearing that we the one thing that I keep going back to is that we both loved old books. I
Yeah.
felt like we were very romantic about that, and that was very special. But some of the things that were different, like I thought it was really cool how you were into country music, and I never heard country music. Like I'm a city boy through and through, and grew up in a totally different world than you. And I really loved that you were into country and you opened up this whole new world of music for me. And just your life was so different from mine. So I definitely did appreciate the differences. And I really love you for your differences. I've
Mm.
certainly never found any of our differences repulsive from you, but I know that I annoy you all the time, every single day with plenty of things that I do. But I think you're just easily, you get to that point pretty easily. And your mom
Yeah.
would attest to that too.
Yeah, I get annoyed much easier than you would. You deal with you just don't have that about your personality, which I think that's something interesting to talk about as far as differences go, because there's personality things, there's things that we do, there's interests, there's a lot of factors when it comes to being different. And you and I had a lot of similarities, like you said, in that we liked a lot of the same type of things. We bonded over the fact that we loved old books and Pride and Prejudice, and I got you an old book, and we liked some of the same. We both like tea, and we both like cycling and motorcycles, and there's a lot of activities that we are the same on, which I think is why we have so much fun, because we have the same hobbies. But our personalities are very different in that, I'm very intense and you're not that intense. But then there's like the habit stuff. That's what I think they're talking about when they say the differences can be repulsive. I'll give you an example. And this is not me trying to throw you under the bus. It's just trying to give an example. Like
But here
when
we go.
you brush your teeth or wash your hands and there's water all over the entire sink, like you just took a bath in the sink, that is a difference in the two of us. I could brush my teeth and not one drop of water is going to get outside of the sink. And I'll come in after you've used the sink. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't know what you do in there, but it's literally like an animal just bathed in the in the sink. And there's just water everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on? So that's a
I totally
difference.
admit to that. I totally admit to that. And it's really funny to watch you in the sink because you are so dainty and you use the sink like a bird bath. But I go in there and I'm like slopping around and getting water everywhere. And it bothers you the way I wash my face even because it does get everywhere. But it's
Yeah,
like
you're
part
like a
of
wild
my
animal. It's all over the mirror. It's
It's like
everywhere.
part of my face washing. I've splashed the water up and cover my face and make sure the whole thing gets wet and I'm washing away everything, washing away the day. So
Take a
that's
shower,
kind of just
bro.
how I do it. I do take showers. I take showers too, but everybody's got to wash their face sometimes. And I just happen to get a lot of the water out on the rim. And it's funny that you bring this one up because I can remember really early in our relationship, that was one of the things you brought up to me. You were like, the worst thing in the world is when I go and wash my hands and then my shirt gets wet because I leaned on the sink and now I'm all wet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I guess I do that. But I still do it. I've probably gotten no better. I'm sure I've gotten 0% better since then.
I don't know. 10 years later, you're still doing it. It's funny that because it's like as I go in there and I never think to myself, oh, there's going to be water all over the sink. I should dry it. And I just lean against the edge of the sink and there's water all over it. And right now I am pregnant and my stomach is very large. And so I can't not touch the sink. It's like not a Anyway, we don't have to keep talking about this, but it's just an example of this is more of a habit difference than it is a personality thing. Maybe it's in your personality to not
It's not a
care.
habit, it's an accident. I'm not doing it on purpose habitually. That's just how I wash my face is big splash.
Well, the beautiful thing about being different is that God made us different intentionally. I don't know if this is with this, but I'm not talking about focusing on the bad things, but really the good things, the strengths that make us and those around us better. So here's an example. Two slackers are not going to get very far. They're going to slack off, nothing's going to get done. But on the flip side, two workhorses or like two people that are go, 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 they're probably not going to find much time to spend with each other because they're going to be so busy going and getting their things done. So I think that sometimes it's the balance in our personality strengths that make us strong together. And I know that for you and I, this is an area of what I see as our personalities complementing each other and being a strength because I'm a go, go, go type planner. I have lists, I have calendars, and not, just with work, but with like every aspect of my life. And then you are a go getter when it comes to work. But once the weekend hits, you ain't looking for any to do lists. You are much more of a relaxed type of personality. And this can be a point of frustration because you want to chill out and I want to get things done around the house. But it also does pay off because sometimes I concede and I'm like, all right, whatever, we'll just relax this weekend. And other times it's like, no, my personality helps to motivate you to get stuff done around the house. So, that's why our house isn't falling into shambles. So sometimes I think me pushing can be a good thing, but other times you encouraging me to just chill out can also be a good thing.
Yeah, take a chill pill, babe. Weekends for relaxation.
I wish we ain't got that kind of time, man. We got busy lives. We got all of these
Gotta
kids.
make time, baby. You're the ringleader of your own circus.
It's a lot going on, a lot to get done. I'm in a
It's too
hurry to get
much.
things done.
You
I
gotta
just
cut
rush
that
and
list.
rush until
You
life's no
gotta
fun.
gotta cut that list. If you got too much to do, you gotta do less.
You know,
Less is more.
you just made me think of the list that I had when I was pregnant with Ben. You remember how many pages, like how many sheets of lists that I had? Because I was
Yep, it's a
nesting
lot.
so intensely.
Very much.
It was so many projects. You're lucky.
Very
This
much so.
time I haven't really given you anything.
I'm very lucky. I'm blessed, I would even say.
Well, the thing that's really cool about doing reengage is how the focus isn't on what we don't like about our spouse or changing our spouse. It's about changing ourselves, right? It's about focusing on what is inside the circle that we draw around ourselves. So it's also about seeing the best in our spouse, extending grace and celebrating them. And a simple exercise is to shift our mindset from that negative to the positive. And I mean to say that it's simple, but it's really not. It's not that easy. But if think about it for a minute, like on days where we feel really down or negative, what do our thoughts and words look like? They're usually pretty negative. So now let's think about that in terms of our spouse or each other. When was the last time that we celebrated each other? Or do we spend all of our time criticizing our spouse and feeling frustrated? Okay, I got to stop here because both of us know I'm no saint. I have a tendency to lean on the critical side for sure. So
No.
this was really challenging for me when we talked about this in Engage. You know, it's not an easy thing. It's something that I have to consciously make an effort to think about. But I think that one of the exercises that you and I wanted to talk about and pull out to share with those listening today is the challenge where we think of 3 to 5 personality differences between us and our spouse. Well, really, personality differences within our spouse that are beneficial to either us or to the relationship. So, in what ways are those differences making a positive impact in our relationship? And so I'll go first. A few differences that I want to celebrate about Mike are his patient and calm nature, how analytical he is, and how his laid back personality has actually helped me to not be so uptight. Those are actually all things that are different about our personalities, but I celebrate those things about you because I said it when we first started this episode. I always I was attracted to that within you. I admired about you that you are patient and calm. I thought that that was just like amazing because I'm not like that. I'm very impatient and impulsive and crazy. So I
I didn't say
celebrate
that.
that about you rather than thinking of that as a negative. It's such a strength that you have that.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that very dearly. I really do. And I'm the most thankful that you recognize that, you appreciate it, and you also have enough patience to slow down and match me when I'm like that. And you realize that you could chill out a little bit and cut loose and have fun and not be so stressed out and anxious and all that. So, it's great that not only do you recognize it, but you can get on board with it too. Because if you just saw that and you were like, "Oh, I can't stand you. You're too calm," it wouldn't work. So I'm glad that you're able to meet me in the middle with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's what I really admire about you. And I think that that's a great thing about how God made us all different, right? Like that's your personality is that you're chill. You're a chill person. And it's a strength that I see that you have. And it crosses over to multiple areas. It's not just beneficial for us in our marriage, but I'm sure that it's very beneficial for you in work too, and with what you do because you work in a very analytical environment that's very technical, and you have to have a lot of patience to do what you do. You can't be all over the place to do the type of work that you do. So it works, it's God gave you that gift for a reason.
Yeah, I will say to touch on work very quickly, patience and being calm and level headed has helped me greatly in many situations because there's a very high sense of urgency when you're trying to implement software and you're working against deadlines and people don't really know what's going to happen or how things work yet because everything is new and it can be very stressful, and it definitely has benefited vastly to be calm and be a voice of reason and just say, let's look at this problem, figure out how to solve it, and we're going to solve it. And yelling at people doesn't help. And, I've made some mistakes too. Like, I've definitely dealt with people and consultants and things like that in a past life and been more critical and harsh. And I've really learned not to be like that because everyone makes mistakes, including myself. And so when mistakes come up and things like that come up, it's really important to be gentle about it and just work together and not forget that we're all a team. And that really goes for marriage too. When people make mistakes or when you feel hurt or wronged, it's really important to be gentle and to stay gentle with your significant other, your family member, your friends. There's no wrath in a loving relationship. That's not the way to be.
Yeah, definitely.
So
And just to be clear, when you said past life, you meant past jobs, not
yeah,
reincarnation.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. It's just how I refer to earlier in my career as my past lives. It's I've done some different things, and my career's kind of evolved as I've gotten different jobs. It's been a really interesting road, and things have gotten more and more technical over time. So I say past life because I was doing similar things but different.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. As
so
your career has evolved and taken off and whatnot.
exactly, exactly. So we talked about the differences that you see in me that can be benefits, and I want to share the ones that I have for you. I could definitely go on and on for days about the ways that we're different, but to
Oh,
pick to
in a
pick
good
just
way or a
three,
bad way?
in a good way, because that's how the Lord made us. Lord made man and woman to come together in His image. Like, we're different by design, and
Mhm.
there are things that he gives to men and gives to women, and sometimes those things are different in a relationship, but to just stick to our relationship, the top 3 that I would pick would be how you are so tender and loving to our children. And that was something that I saw in you from early in our relationship, and why I really fell so deeply in love with you and wanted to marry you, was because I felt your maternal instinct, and that love is goes so deep, and it came true and then some when you became a mother.
Oh.
You are so selfless. You are selfless in a way that I hardly can even understand and hope to ever emulate, because I'm an only child, and I'm through and through such an only child and think about myself a lot. And you certainly do not. You put others before yourself. And again, especially our children, the way that you are able to take care of them is beyond my ability. Like, something so simple as when Brooke gets up in the middle of the night and you're how many weeks pregnant, and you're like rolling out of bed like a turtle and half asleep and still able to help her with a smile and with love, is such a beautiful. It's just tremendous. It's
Mm.
so much. It's true love. It's true love, and it's so much caring and tenderness. And the last one, which I've actually told you a lot, I think I've told you even before we went through this chapter, but now that we went through this chapter, I've pointed this out multiple times in the last couple of weeks. You are so creative and meticulous and generous in a way that does not come naturally to me at all. You're able to sit, even though I have patience to deal with people and situations. You have patience to sit and to create and to bring a vision to life. And those are things that I don't have. I am black and white, analytical, and I can work on problems for hours, but my problems come in math and code, and your problems are in a vision. And I really admire that about you. And I'm very grateful that you bring that into our relationship, because that's something that I'm missing and you really bring to the table for us.
Well, thank you. I know you're talking about that turtle I was painting that day.
The turtle, the way that you decorate, the way that you made a diaper cake for Rachel, like, just to watch you sit and hot glue things together and put fake leaves on things, and
They were
it's just
flowers.
all, what I mean. It's just, these are things that
Fig leaves.
I could never, first of all, I could never even imagine, like, beginning to try to do that, and that you're just able to do so beautifully. I couldn't even spend the amount of time in Hobby Lobby that it takes you to go and find all this stuff, you know? And so I'm very grateful that you are that way and you're so thoughtful and able to create. I'm not a visual person and you are very visual and able to make things in the real world. You can bake. You bake cookies and you make food and you do all kinds of stuff that I don't have the patience for.
Peppa Pig cakes. And
That pig cake was crazy. I hope you put it in the show notes. It was unbelievable.
put a picture of the Peppa Pig cake in the show notes.
Yeah, this
Yes,
is what Mike's talking about right here.
I have always, so it's, first of all, thank you. I appreciate you sharing those positive things about my personality. I always have been very crafty and creative and loved cooking and baking and all that kind of stuff from the time that I was very young. I also really always loved organizing. Like I would stay up at night and reorganize the linen closet or underneath the sink or whatever. I've always, and you, it's funny because sometimes you'll be like, what is with all these containers? I love to, um, just organize things and get containers and put them in the containers. I'm very weird about that.
We have way too many containers though, babe. We have enough containers. We have empty containers all over the place. There's enough.
Well, because they need things to go in them now.
We have enough stuff too. If you can't find something for the containers, we don't need any more. Tell me about it. Listen, I bought all the kinds of folders. I was a folder hoarder for a while. I don't have any papers to put in these folders anymore, and I'm not buying any more folders. So we don't need any more containers.
He's talking about the fridge containers. There will be food to be in those containers one day.
No, I'm
Anyway.
talking about all the glass containers we got in the thing and all the see, this is a difference. This is a difference I could do without is the Amazon
The
packages.
containers.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be honest if we weren't saying there's some things that we could be different and might be good if the other person changed. I think we get way too many Amazon packages around here, but that's the only thing I'm gonna say about
Oh,
that.
man. Well, the good news is I have plenty of containers. If anybody wants me to make them some tea, some Nora tea or pregnancy tea, holler at me. I got containers. I can send you some.
Yeah, she's gonna start a tea business, Serenity by B.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's next. Keep an eye
That's an
out
office
for
joke for anybody out there. Rachel will get it.
keep an eye out for the tea. But really though, I do love to create and I'm always trying to find ways to use that for the benefit of others though, for the benefit of our family or for other people. So anyhow, I also wanted to point out children. I know that this is focused on marriage, but our children are starting to get older, or at least our daughter is old enough that her personality is starting to come through. And it's very interesting to watch her personality blossom and to see the differences in her, mostly from you, the differences, because she's more like me. But, we talked about patience earlier and how that is a strength of yours. It is a weakness of hers. So much so that we made a little song for her that goes something like this. Patience, 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 patience. And she can't even tolerate hearing it because that's how little patience she has. It makes her really mad.
Yeah, she's so much like you. It's crazy.
But see, this is why we need you. And this is why you are the dad that God has placed in our family to keep your two ladies that are very impatient calm.
I
So,
agree with you. I agree with you. Every now and then I need to blow off my own steam though, because sometimes you guys just get me all riled up and it's like, all right, I need to calm down here. Because I can only be calm for so long and absorb so
before
much
you
craziness
snap.
before I lose it.
And then that's it. He can't take it anymore. So
Yeah.
that's funny. Well, I had a couple Bible verses I wanted to share since we're talking about understanding our spouse and being understanding of others. And interestingly, there's a lot in Proverbs about understanding. In Proverbs 14:29, it says, "Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick tempered displays folly." Yeah, so you have great understanding, and I am a folly fool. And then in Proverbs 21:2, it says, "A person may think their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs the heart." And I felt like these were very significant because they were focused on this idea of oftentimes it's what we think is right. We think we know what is right, but the Lord, He has placed us here intentionally with our strengths and our weaknesses. And it's up to us to what we do with that. Just like we've been kind of talking about celebrating each other's strengths, it's also important that we as individuals recognize our own weaknesses, not point it out for our spouse, because that's easy to do, right? It's easy to see the faults in other people, but we really need to focus on ourselves, the circle, and then what we can do to be better and then also more understanding to our spouse, to celebrate their uniqueness, to be the first one to serve, to put them first. Really enjoy marriage. Marriage is a gift from God that we have been given. And if we are constantly focused on our differences and what we don't like and what makes us mad, we're not getting to enjoy this gift. And so I think that that is and was one of the best reminders for me when we started talking about this topic in Reengage was, let's focus on what's making this great, not what's tearing us apart, because that's mental, right? Like we have a choice on what we focus on.
Yeah. To me, it really all goes back to that the Lord made us in his image, male and female, and that when we come together, we're more complete. So we're meant to be different.
Yeah.
And that's really God's design. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's something to really embrace, especially in a marriage.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this has been a great intro to kind of understanding each other. We're actually going to talk even more about understanding your spouse in a couple of weeks when we talk about emotional intimacy. So there will be more to come on that. But this topic, my opinion, leads us right into what we're going to talk about next week, which is squashing expectations. So, we have these differences, and that can oftentimes lead to expectations. And now we're going to talk about it. So stay tuned. Any final words?
No, I think really that my last point is the whole the whole thing with embracing differences. We're meant to be different. It's by design, and it makes for a much happier, healthier relationship when we recognize each other's differences, appreciate them, love them, and realize that they make us stronger. That we're supposed to be different, and we're supposed to come together and work together to make what a marriage is, which is two halves that make a whole.
Beautiful. Very well said. Well, thank you for joining me again for another episode, for episode number 7 of our marriage series.
Absolutely, honey. I'm so happy to do this. This has been a lot of fun, and I love learning and growing with you.
Same. Same. And thank you all for tuning in and for being on this journey with us. If you'd like to follow along outside the podcast, be sure to join the mission on Instagram or Facebook with the handle The Radiant Mission. You can also watch this podcast in video format on YouTube. And today we are closing with Mark 9:35. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." We're wishing you a radiant week, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.